Hello guys, this is TSM Subroza Taufik, and this is my breach guide for you, brought to you by Logitech G. So when I'm playing breach in any type of games, ranked or competitive, you're definitely going to be the support player of the team. You're kind of going to just be sitting back, holding abilities for your team. You're not going to be out there peeking and just fragging, and just pretty much staring at your radar. I think what makes Breach one of the best support is pretty much his whole kit is to kind of set up a teammate. It's really hard to just use your own abilities for yourself, so you're kind of forced to just help. As in the initiators, they can kind of make their own solo plays here and there with some of their abilities. Breach, it's really just for your teammates. I think Breach's biggest weakness is playing for himself, because in any situations where you're kind of getting rushed at, or just, by yourself, not helping any teammate, those situations will happen in game. You can't really use your own kit for yourself, like I was saying earlier. So you're kind of going to be in a situation where you're just gun out and you try to hit your shot, maybe flash to get away, but it's not going to be to take a kill. When you're in those situations, I would say obviously trying to use your kit to get away or stop the rush is a good, better than just gun out and just kind of peeking stuff. But the other thing that I see a lot of people do wrong is they try to overdo stuff with Breach, because he has so much abilities. You can just spam at people or spam to help your team, but sometimes it can be a little bit too much, and at times you want to have your gun out and shoot at them. So I see a lot of people making that mistakes of just doing too much with Breach because it has so much abilities. I would pick Breach over the other supports or initiator, I would say, on some of the maps, because some of the maps are just kind of built for his stun and drill and all that, and they just make it efficient to take early control, late round control, and just spam flashes on your team depending on the composition you have. Some of the map, obviously, it's going to fit more with a fade. Some of the map, it's going to fit more with a breach. Some of the map, it's going to even fit with both. So it really depends on how which map you're playing, which comp you're playing. One of the good maps, for example, that it's really good to play on it is Haven. A lot of people like playing it on Haven because you can get early control of A on both sides as a defender or an attacker, and the team that doesn't have the breach kind of falls apart early game, because I can stun long A and get the early control, they can stun A lobby and get the A lobby control. So other maps that are really good is Ascend, because you can fight off the orbs and never let them get control of it with the stun, and kind of just bully your team, or not your team, the enemy team around the map easily. There's definitely more optimal picks on other maps, you don't see anyone playing Breach on Breeze, but it would be doable. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of comp built into that. You got to build a lot of plays around it. I don't see a lot of pro teams playing it, but yeah, I guess Breeze might be the map where Breach is the most less played. I mean, obviously Breach doesn't synergize with the Sentinels, I guess, because you're going to be on the opposite side of the map. They're not going to be in the pack, and you kind of don't want to set up your Sentinel for kills. You kind of want them, holding their own sides of the map or holding their own site on defender. So I think it doesn't pretty much synergy well with the Sentinels. But pretty much all the duelists, I'd say, mesh pretty well with Breach. I think you're going to be stuck on Spectres and Bulldogs, because if you have the money and your teammates don't have the money on Breach, you kind of have to prioritize them having the good gun. So you're going to be stuck on these kinds of Spectres, and make sure your duelist has the better gun, because like I said earlier, you're going to be holding stuns, holding flashes for them, holding all these kinds of stuff. So if you're greedy and you're saving all the money for yourself when your teammates don't have some, then you're playing bad games. Obviously, if you have the money, go for Phantom Vandal, but it's not bad to have your duelist with the gun. You're going to be playing off of your teammates holding an angle. You're going to be playing off an alarm bot, off a sentinel, camera, killjoy turret, anything. So you're going to be staring at your radar. So I think with Breach, the main cue would be you staring at your radar and knowing the right timing to do stuff. There's going to be audio cues too. If you hear a step and you think it's the right time, you got to take the decision at some point too sometimes. So I think more of a radar cue. So AFTERSHOCK is going to be used in most corner, if not every corner on the map, to clear out angles, do damage, and possibly kill someone, because it will, if he stays in that corner for the whole duration of the AFTERSHOCK, he will die. So it's going to be used for execution. Make sure you're clearing out an angle. It's going to be used to do damage, to take someone off a drone, the Sky Dog. I think the best used for AFTERSHOCK is really in execution, clearing out an angle. Obviously, that's the obvious answer, but also to nullify like the information characters on the other team. So let's say you hear a drone and you know where he's droning from, you want to take him off that drone without like risking your life, you know, peeking to break it. So pretty much what you want to do with the drill is a lot of the situations you're going to be wanting to remove the information from the other team. So if you want to find out where he's droning from, where he's doing the wolf from, so you got to be very careful for these audio cues. And that's actually a really good reason why I like my Logitech Pro X, because I can tell accurately where he's doing it from and I can react fast to it, because you want to stop him from the drone ASAP. So the fault line, which is the stun, the dream kind of scenario would be to combine it with one extra ability. It could be anything, has like the Astra Tornado, it could be another flash from another initiator, maybe a snare from Fade. So just like stunning and then adding an extra thing just to secure the kill, because we know like everyone's been killed by a guy stunned, right? So the dream scenario would be setting up your teammate with it off like a trap setup. Let's say you have an alarm bot, you're holding a stun off of it, they trigger the alarm bot, you stun, and then you add something to it, either a flash, like I said, a snare, a nade, anything, and then that is going to secure you the kill. If we're talking optimal, I think combining it with another agent's ability is going to be best, because you can do it at the same time and the enemy doesn't have really time to react. But you do, if in some situation, are able to add a flash to your stun. So let's say you stun it, you know he's in the stun and he's stunned and your teammate's kind of running up on him. You can throw a flash in there to just, you know, add a little bit of safety. And also the drill too, I was saying earlier, you don't want to do that, but in a situation where he is stuck in the corner and you kind of have like a kill secured, it is fine to use your drill. But on the execution, you want to make it optimal to use it on two different sides. Breach does have two flashes. I wouldn't say it's the best flash in the game, because a lot of people got pretty good at dodging it. It's been out since almost beta. You can do it from long range, very precise. You kind of point where you want it to go and it's going to be there, compared to Sky where you have to control it, where you have to be a little bit more like, you know, where like the lineup is kind of thing. And then same for KO, kind of need lineup as well. So Breach is going to be very simple, just point and click. And I think the flash is really good. It's a underrated ability, I'd say. There's many situations you want to use flashes. I think if you're working around the map as an attacker, securing kills or making sure you don't get opt is like the optimal way of using flash. If you think an opera is at an angle, use the flash. If you're taking garage control, use the flash. Every time you think someone's there, I think you should be careful and use the flash to clear out. The Breach ult, I guess the ability is kind of like a bigger stun, I guess. It takes a lot more map than the stun. I'd say it's like 4 stuns side to side and it kind of throws people in the air. So it secures you to kill a little bit more than the stun, because the stun doesn't like throw them off. And the optimal way of using it would be if the enemy's kind of in a group situation and you have teammates ready to capitalize off of it, kind of just letting it out and have your teammate fight with them when they're stunned. Okay, so absolutely not. You cannot just, let's say you do ult 3 people in a corner or a long A or whatever. You can't really just run at them. That's a lot of what the mistakes people are gonna do in low elo, is they're gonna know 2 or 3 people are ulted and, you know, kind of get excited and just run up and then try to kill them while they're stunned or mid-air. But what's gonna happen is a lot of the times, maybe someone on their team did dodge the ult. There's 5 people on a team. It's going to be really rare you hit all 5 of them. So don't be too greedy just running up when you ult 3 people, because the 4th guy or the 5th guy could be just all the way in the back, kind of just waiting for you. So what you want to do is, if you know you ulted 3 people, again, the same thing as earlier with the other abilities, you add another one. It could be a nade, it could be a flash, it could be this, it could be that, but that's going to help you higher your odds of killing those 3 people stunned. And again, it is easy to kill people stunned, so don't get too happy when you ult 2 or 3 people, especially when it's 2 or 3 people looking at you. Fast agents are going to be really good too, like a Neon, a Jet, or a Raze. Like kind of flying across their screen is really hard to hit while you're stunned. Playing against Breach in general is going to be really up to being one step ahead, like changing your playstyle. I'm saturating down short this round. Sometimes I'm saturating long. Sometimes I'm going here. Like switching up where you're going is going to be really good, because you don't want to get stunned and be obvious where you're going. Because as soon as you're obvious where you're going, he's going to know where to stun and they're going to kill you. One thing to not do against a Breach is do the same thing 8 rounds in a row, 6 rounds in a row. Because as soon as you do something every round, all the Breach has to do is call his duelist over. Oh, this guy always does this. I'll stun him, you dash on him, like stuff like that. So don't do the same thing every round. Be unpredictable. I think playing Breach definitely is not the like heaven of Valorant, because you're just sitting here kind of like supporting people. but it does get pretty fun in a team environment because it is a little bit more rewarding. I think most of the time it's gonna be half-half. I think if your duelist is close to a really good ult, like a Raze ult, a Phoenix ult, I think it's good to let him have it because they're gonna be getting the frag, so they'll get close to the ult faster. But if eventually you're 5 out of 7, 6 out of 7, I think it's really good to get it on breach because it will kind of secure you around on attackers because you ult the whole bomb site, it's really hard for the defenders to hold it. So I think it's gonna be a priority for breach, like out of the team. Immediate goal with breach when the round starts is early map control you can get with the signature ability that is rechargeable, and make sure your teammates are safe. Like when you see them fighting, flashes that don't get them, like I said, stuff like that. That's your main goal at the start of the round. When it gets to mid-round, the thing that's gonna change is it's really gonna come down to your teammate communicating what's happening on the map and you kind of like roaming around and seeing what you can do for them. So let's say your Opera got pushed up here, like I said earlier, go over there, flash for him, he got the line again. Your stun's back up, the C guy's getting rushed, you can stun almost across the map for him. If you're C with him and he's getting rushed, you can spam flashes default for him. So it's kind of you just roaming around and listening to your teammates' communication mid-round and knowing what to do for them. I don't think breach would be the bomb carrier. Sometimes he is going to be, if he's one off an ult, obviously you want to give him bomb. But since you're going to be in the back kind of spamming stun and flashes, kind of going to be fourth in, maybe a little too late for the bomb. But I think he can carry the bomb very easily. Honestly, if your team starts dying and you're really down a lot of the time it's gonna come down to like a last resort kind of thing. If you're down it's 2v5, 3v5, you can make your own play. It's gonna be very hard and it's not optimal. I don't like recommend it, but if you're down to that point of like 2v5, 3v5, I think it's fine to make a risky play of like walking down mid. Even though you're breach, I know it's not the optimal play, but walking down mid, flashing this and going for a peek for yourself, that's like, I would call it the last resort play. If you have, so the opposite way, as if you're the team that has the ball rolling and you have really good momentum, I say keep up the momentum and be unpredictable. Like I said earlier, switch up the stun, switch up the flash, but don't do too much. You're obviously doing something good. So I think keep up the momentum and keep setting up your duelists. So retaking is very similar as attacking, as in you're executing the bomb site but from a different position. So literally what you do on attack where you stun one side and then you drill the other side, that's what you want to do on retake on CT. Stun one of the side for your teammate and then drill a corner that they don't have to clear it, and do the follow-up flash that I was saying. You can do it on the retake but on the other side. So literally see retakes as an execution of the bomb site from a different position. I'd say the last thing I'd say is don't be upset if you don't have kills on breach, because not made for that. There is situations where your teammates can't capitalize on your stuns and stuff, but you're doing good. Like you're stunning people, you're flashing them, but obviously your team's whiffing or blah, blah, blah. And it will happen that you're gonna be the guy cleaning up the kills. So that dream game is here and there. All right, so this was my breach guide. I appreciate everyone watching this. Big shout out to Logitech for making it happen, and I will catch you guys in the next guide.
But let's see what can go on with, of course, a little bit of a stun, and Gucci is able to get Corey down, and what a pick from Subroza, catching the man flying away.
This is a big turnaround for, oh, he might be able to get Subroza. He doesn't see him.
Oh no, he doesn't see him. He actually gets stunned, and Subroza's gonna get the one to get it, and that's